There are times when love doesn't arrive loudly, but you can feel something shifting within you. It's like your heart is slowly making space for an experience it hasn't had before. You begin to sense that the way you used to love no longer fits who you are becoming. Old patterns start to feel too small, too familiar. And somewhere deep inside, there's a quiet awareness that the next connection will not feel like the last. It won't just be another chapter. It may feel like a new beginning. Not because someone will complete you, but because you are finally ready to experience love differently. When we talk about projection and the unconscious, we are entering one of the most important ideas in depth psychology. Projection happens when we unconsciously take parts of ourselves, feelings, desires, fears, potentials, and attribute them to someone else. We experience them as if they belong entirely to the other person. It feels real, immediate, and convincing. Yet, in many cases, what moves us so intensely in another person is something living within us that we have not yet recognized. The unconscious does not speak in straightforward language. It pushes its contents outward, casting them onto people, situations, and even spiritual images so that we can encounter them indirectly. This is why intense attraction can feel almost mystical. You may meet someone and feel as though they carry something extraordinary, something luminous. It can feel as if fate, destiny, or even a higher force has orchestrated the meeting. But psychologically, what may be happening is that this person has activated a dormant part of your own psyche. Qualities you long for, spontaneity, courage, tenderness, passion, may have been buried under routine or past wounds. When you see those qualities embodied in someone else, your unconscious responds with powerful emotion. The experience feels larger than life because it is connected to parts of you that are larger than your everyday awareness. The unconscious mind holds everything that has been forgotten, repressed, or never fully developed. It is not only a storage place for pain, it is also a reservoir of creativity and unrealized potential. Projection is one of the ways this hidden material seeks expression. Instead of recognizing a quality within yourself, you see it shining in another person. Instead of admitting your own fear, you might perceive them as intimidating. Instead of owning your longing for depth, you may believe they are uniquely profound. The psyche uses relationship as a mirror, reflecting inner material outward, so you can begin to see it. This process is neither good nor bad. It is simply human. In fact, projection is often the first step toward growth. Without it, we might never become aware of certain dimensions of ourselves. The problem arises only when we remain unconscious of the process. If you believe the other person is the sole source of the magic you feel, you may cling to them as if they are the answer to your incompleteness. But if you pause and reflect, you might ask yourself, what exactly is it about them that moves me so deeply? What qualities am I responding to? And where might those same qualities live within me? When the symbol of angels enters the picture, it can be understood as another form of projection. Throughout history, human beings have described inner guidance in the language of divine messengers. An angel announces change, transformation, or a new beginning. Psychologically, this image can represent intuition rising from the unconscious. It feels external and otherworldly because it does not come from rational thought. It comes from deeper layers of the psyche that communicate through symbols. The mind translates this inner stirring into a figure of light, a messenger from beyond. In relationships, projection often intensifies at the beginning. You may see the other person not as they truly are, but as a carrier of your inner image of love. This is why early love can feel overwhelming and unfamiliar. You are not just responding to their personality, you are responding to your own unconscious material. Over time, reality tests the projection. You begin to see their flaws, their humanity. This can feel disappointing, but it is actually an opportunity. As the illusion fades, you are invited to reclaim the qualities you once projected and integrate them into yourself. Understanding projection does not make love less meaningful. On the contrary, it makes it deeper and more conscious. When you realize that what you admire or desire in another person is also a reflection of your own inner world, you become less dependent and more whole. You can appreciate them as a real individual rather than as a symbolic savior. The unconscious will always communicate through projection to some degree. It is part of how we are wired. But the more aware you become, the more you can use these powerful emotions as a path towards self-knowledge rather than confusion. When we speak about the archetype of the divine messenger, we are entering the symbolic language of the human psyche. Across cultures and centuries, human beings have imagined figures that arrive with news from beyond the ordinary world. In religious texts, myths, and dreams, these messengers appear at moments of transition. They do not come randomly. They show up when something within the person or the community is ready to change. From a psychological perspective, these figures are not merely external beings, but representations of inner processes. They symbolize communication between the conscious mind and the deeper layers of the unconscious. An archetype, in Jungian thought, is a universal pattern embedded in the collective unconscious. It is not a learned idea, but a structural tendency of the psyche to form certain images. The divine messenger is one such pattern. Whether we call it an angel, a spirit guide, or a luminous stranger in a dream, the essential function remains the same. It carries meaning from the unknown into awareness. It bridges two worlds, the visible and the invisible, the rational and the instinctive. This is why such images often feel charged with emotion. They carry psychological energy because they emerge from deep layers of the psyche. In personal experience, the archetype may appear during periods of uncertainty. Someone might dream of a radiant figure offering reassurance or direction. Another person may feel a sudden intuitive clarity about a relationship or life decision, describing it metaphorically as if a sign appeared. Psychologically, this is the unconscious breaking through habitual patterns of thought. The messenger symbolizes insight that the ego did not consciously produce. It feels as though it comes from outside because it does not originate from deliberate reasoning. It arises spontaneously, often accompanied by a sense of significance. The power of this archetype lies in its ability to awaken transformation. A messenger rarely delivers trivial information. It announces birth, change, love, departure, or renewal. In psychological terms, it signals that the personality is ready for development. Something new wants to emerge. The conscious mind may resist, clinging to familiar structures, but the unconscious insists through symbolic imagery. The divine messenger becomes the embodiment of that insistence. It says, in symbolic form, that growth is approaching whether or not the ego feels prepared. It is important to understand that these images are not hallucinations or fantasies in a dismissive sense. They are meaningful expressions of the psyche's structure. Just as the body has instinctual patterns, the mind has symbolic patterns. When life reaches a turning point, the psyche often dramatizes the moment through archetypal imagery. This gives emotional weight to the experience. The message feels sacred because it touches the deepest layers of human meaning. Even in people who do not consider themselves religious, the archetype may appear in subtle ways, through intuition, sudden understanding, or encounters that feel strangely significant. In the context of love or relationship, the archetype of the divine messenger can signal psychological readiness. A person may feel that something new is about to enter their life. This anticipation is not based solely on external events, but on inner maturation. The psyche senses that it has reached a stage where a new kind of connection is possible. The messenger symbolizes this threshold. It stands at the doorway between who you were and who you are becoming. It carries the emotional intensity of transformation. The archetype also reminds us that human beings experience life symbolically, even when they believe they are being purely rational. We assign meaning through images. When a moment feels destined or guided, it is often because the archetypal layer has been activated. The divine messenger is not about predicting the future in a literal sense. It is about revealing psychological readiness. It reflects the movement of the unconscious toward greater integration. When this archetype appears, it suggests that the personality is in dialogue with deeper wisdom, and that dialogue carries the potential for profound change. When we speak about the Anima and Animus dynamic, we are exploring one of Jung's most profound ideas about the inner structure of the psyche. According to Carl Jung, every man carries within him an inner feminine image, which he called the Anima, and every woman carries an inner masculine image, called the Animus. These are not about gender roles in a social sense. They are psychological principles. The Anima represents qualities like emotional depth, receptivity, intuition, and relatedness within a man's unconscious. The Animus represents qualities like assertiveness, clarity, and direction within a woman's unconscious. These inner figures shape how we experience love and attraction, often without us realizing it. When someone falls deeply in love, it is often because the other person activates this inner image. A man may feel captivated by a woman who seems to embody grace, mystery, or emotional intensity. What he may not immediately see is that he is responding not only to her as an individual, but to his own anima being projected onto her. She becomes the carrier of his inner feminine ideal. In the same way, a woman may feel drawn to a man who appears strong, purposeful, or intellectually confident, experiencing him as larger than life. Often, this reaction is connected to her animus projection, her inner masculine image reflected outward. This dynamic explains why early romantic attraction can feel overwhelming and almost otherworldly. The intensity comes from the unconscious. It is not simply about personality compatibility. It is about encountering a living symbol of something deeply rooted within oneself. The beloved appears to complete something that feels missing. There is a sense of recognition, as if you have known this person before. Psychologically, you are recognizing your own inner image. The anima or animus has found a face in the outer world. That is why the experience can feel magical, transformative, and unfamiliar. However, projection is only the beginning of the process. The challenge arises when we expect the other person to permanently embody our inner ideal. No human being can fully carry another person's unconscious image. Over time, reality begins to dissolve the projection. The person reveals ordinary traits, flaws, contradictions. This can lead to disappointment if we believed they were the source of all the meaning we felt. But from a psychological perspective, this moment is crucial. It invites us to withdraw the projection and recognize that the qualities we admired are also potentials within ourselves. The anima and animus are not meant to remain projected forever. They are meant to be integrated. When a man becomes more aware of his anima, he becomes more emotionally balanced and connected to his inner life. When a woman becomes more conscious of her animus, she develops clearer thinking and stronger self-direction. Relationships can serve as catalysts for this integration. The attraction pulls us outward, but the growth leads us inward. Through loving another person, we begin to meet parts of ourselves that were previously unconscious. This dynamic also explains why certain relationships feel different from anything experienced before. If someone meets a person who reflects a more mature or previously unrecognized layer of their anima or animus, the experience can feel entirely new. It may not resemble past attractions at all. The psyche evolves over time. As we grow, our inner images evolve as well. The people we are drawn to often reflect our current stage of psychological development. That is why love at different stages of life can feel profoundly distinct. Understanding the anima and animus dynamic does not reduce love to a psychological trick. Instead, it deepens it. It shows that love is not just about finding someone outside ourselves, but about encountering our own inner depths through another human being. The other person becomes a mirror, but not in a superficial way. They mirror the archetypal patterns within us. When approached consciously, this dynamic transforms love from blind projection into a path of self-discovery, where attraction becomes an invitation to greater wholeness. When we talk about individuation through relationship, we are touching the heart of psychological growth, as understood by Carl Jung. Individuation is the process of becoming who you truly are, beyond social masks and unconscious patterns. It is not about becoming perfect, it is about becoming whole. Many people imagine this journey as something solitary, like a person withdrawing from the world to discover themselves. But Jung emphasized that relationships are one of the most powerful catalysts for individuation. When you enter a deep relationship, you do not just share experiences. You confront yourself in ways that isolation would never demand. In everyday life, it is easy to maintain a stable image of who you think you are. You know your routines, your preferences, your strengths. But when you become emotionally close to someone, especially in love, that stability begins to shift. The other person reacts to you, challenges you, misunderstands you, and sometimes sees qualities in you that you never noticed. This interaction brings unconscious material to the surface. You might discover jealousy where you thought you were secure. You might discover tenderness where you thought you were guarded. The relationship becomes a mirror, reflecting parts of your psyche that were hidden. Individuation through relationship often begins with projection. You see in the other person qualities that fascinate or disturb you. Over time, conflicts arise. Disagreements and emotional friction are not just problems to eliminate. They are signals. They show you where your ego is rigid, where old wounds are still active, where unexamined beliefs shape your reactions. If you approach these moments with awareness rather than blame, the relationship becomes a laboratory for growth. You start asking not only, why are they like this? But also, why does this affect me so deeply? This process can feel uncomfortable because individuation requires the dismantling of illusions. You may enter a relationship believing that love will complete you or solve your insecurities. Gradually, you realize that the other person cannot carry your inner burdens. You are confronted with your own responsibility for your emotional life. That realization can be painful, but it is transformative. Instead of depending entirely on external validation, you begin to cultivate inner stability. The relationship stops being a rescue fantasy and becomes a partnership between two evolving individuals. At the same time, a conscious relationship supports growth by offering acceptance. When someone sees your vulnerabilities and does not turn away, it strengthens your sense of authenticity. You feel permitted to integrate parts of yourself that were previously rejected or hidden. Perhaps you were taught to suppress emotion, ambition, or sensitivity. Through a meaningful bond, these qualities may find safe expression. Individuation is not about isolating yourself from others. It is about becoming more real within connection. The presence of another person can provide the emotional ground where hidden aspects of the self unfold. Love that supports individuation does not remain static. As both individuals grow, the relationship itself transforms. Old patterns fall away, new forms of communication develop, and deeper honesty becomes possible. There may be periods of tension, because growth often disrupts comfort. Yet if both people are willing to reflect and adapt, the bond becomes stronger rather than weaker. The relationship becomes a shared journey of self-discovery. Each partner witnesses the other's evolution, and in doing so, becomes more aware of their own. Individuation through relationship ultimately means that love is not just about feeling good, it is about becoming more conscious. It is about recognizing your shadow, integrating your projections, and expanding your capacity for empathy and responsibility. A profound relationship invites you to step beyond the narrow boundaries of your ego and encounter the fullness of your personality. In this sense, love becomes one of the most direct paths toward psychological maturity, shaping you into someone more integrated, balanced, and deeply aware of your own inner world. When we speak about the symbol of youth in a psychological sense, we are not merely referring to biological age. Youth, in symbolic language, represents renewal, potential, and the beginning of something that has not yet been shaped by habit. According to Carl Jung, the psyche expresses itself through symbols that carry layers of meaning. Youth is one of those powerful images. It appears in dreams, myths, and emotional experiences as a sign of fresh energy entering consciousness. It often signals that a new chapter of inner development is unfolding, even if the outer circumstances seem ordinary. Psychologically, youth represents possibility. When we are young, life feels open-ended. The future is not yet fixed by repeated patterns. Over time, however, people develop routines, defenses, and expectations shaped by past experiences. These patterns create stability, but they can also limit spontaneity. When the symbol of youth emerges, whether through a dream, a new relationship, or a sudden change in outlook, it may indicate that the psyche is seeking renewal. It suggests that there is still untapped vitality within you, waiting to be expressed. In the context of attraction or love, a younger person can symbolize this renewal. The emphasis is not necessarily on chronological difference, but on the qualities associated with youth: curiosity, openness, emotional immediacy. Being drawn to such energy may reflect a desire within yourself to reconnect with your own sense of aliveness. You might notice that this person approaches life differently, less burdened by cynicism or fear. What moves you is not just their age, but the atmosphere of possibility they carry. Psychologically, this can awaken dormant parts of your personality. The symbol of youth also carries a shadow side. Youth is not only vitality, it is also vulnerability and inexperience. When this image appears, it can challenge you to reconsider how you relate to growth. Are you willing to feel uncertain again? Are you open to learning rather than assuming you already know? Renewal requires humility. To experience life in a new way, you must allow old assumptions to soften. The psyche uses the image of youth to represent that willingness to begin again without excessive pride. In many myths, the appearance of a youthful figure marks the start of transformation. The hero meets a young guide, or a new generation rises to reshape the old order. These stories reflect inner processes. When youth appears symbolically, it often means that a part of you is ready to evolve beyond previous limitations. It may feel unsettling because it disrupts familiarity, yet it also carries excitement. The presence of youth in your psychological landscape suggests that your development is not complete, that there is still room for surprise. In relationships, this symbol can indicate a shift in emotional experience. If you have loved in certain ways before, guarded, cautious, shaped by past disappointments, the energy of youth may invite a different approach. It can encourage spontaneity, honesty, and emotional risk. This does not mean abandoning wisdom gained from experience. Rather, it means integrating experience with freshness. The mature self and the youthful self do not need to compete. They can coexist, creating a balanced way of relating that is both grounded and alive. Ultimately, the symbol of youth speaks to the psyche's capacity for regeneration. No matter how structured or settled life becomes, there remains an inner source of new beginnings. When this symbol emerges, it is a reminder that growth is ongoing. The heart is capable of experiencing life in unfamiliar ways, even after years of routine. Youth, as a psychological image, reassures you that transformation does not belong only to early life. It is an ever-present potential within the deeper layers of your being, waiting for the right moment to surface. When we speak about love as a transformative encounter, we are describing an experience that reaches far beyond ordinary attraction. According to Carl Jung, certain relationships activate archetypal layers of the psyche, and when that happens, the impact can feel overwhelming. It is not simply that you enjoy someone's company or admire their qualities. It feels as though your inner world has shifted. Familiar emotional patterns begin to dissolve, and something new takes their place. This is why transformative love often feels unfamiliar. It challenges the version of yourself you've been carrying for years. Most people build an identity based on past experiences. You learn how to protect yourself, how to present yourself, how to manage expectations. Over time, this identity becomes stable and predictable. Then a profound connection appears, and suddenly your carefully constructed balance is disturbed. You may feel more vulnerable than usual, more open, even more uncertain. This disturbance is not weakness. It is a sign that the encounter is touching parts of you that were previously dormant. Love in this sense becomes a psychological force that reshapes the structure of your personality. Transformative love often exposes hidden aspects of the self. You might discover tenderness beneath your independence, or fear beneath your confidence. The presence of the other person brings these elements to the surface. It is as if they hold a mirror that reflects not only who you are, but who you could become. This reflection can be both beautiful and unsettling. You may feel inspired to grow, yet at the same time afraid of losing the old version of yourself. Transformation always carries tension because it asks you to move beyond familiar boundaries. What makes such love different from ordinary affection is its depth. It does not remain on the surface of daily interaction. It penetrates your assumptions about relationships, about trust, about your own worth. You may find yourself questioning beliefs you once held firmly. Perhaps you believed you would never open up emotionally again. Perhaps you thought love had to follow a certain predictable pattern. Then this encounter disrupts those ideas. It shows you possibilities that did not previously exist in your imagination. This kind of transformation is not always comfortable. Growth rarely is. You may experience moments of confusion, intense longing, or emotional vulnerability. These states are part of the restructuring process. The ego resists change because it prefers stability. Yet when you allow yourself to remain present with these emotions, rather than retreating into old defenses, something shifts. You begin to integrate new capacities within yourself, deeper empathy, greater courage, a stronger sense of authenticity. Love becomes the catalyst for this integration. Transformative love also changes how you see the other person. At first, they may appear almost idealized, as if they carry something extraordinary. Over time, you begin to recognize their humanity. The transformation then moves from projection to conscious connection. You see them as they truly are, and you choose to remain present. That choice marks a new stage of maturity. It means you are no longer chasing an illusion, but participating in a real and evolving bond. The transformation becomes mutual rather than one-sided. When love reshapes you in this way, it leaves a lasting imprint. Even if circumstances change, the inner growth remains. You are not the same person you were before the encounter. Your emotional range has expanded. Your understanding of yourself has deepened. Transformative love is less about possession and more about awakening. It stirs the psyche, disrupts stagnation, and invites you into a fuller expression of who you are becoming. When we bring all of this together, what we begin to see is that the language of angels, youth, and unfamiliar love is not really about prediction or fantasy. It is about the movement of the psyche. The unconscious speaks in symbols, and those symbols often appear when we are on the edge of growth. What feels like a message from outside is often a stirring from within. It signals readiness. It signals that something in you is prepared to expand beyond old patterns. Love, especially when it feels new and deeper than anything before, is rarely just about the other person. It is about the meeting between your conscious identity and the hidden layers of your inner world. Through projection, you encounter parts of yourself you did not fully know. Through the Anima or Animus dynamic, you experience qualities that complete your inner balance. Through relationship, you are challenged to individuate, to become more whole, more honest, more integrated. The symbol of youth reminds you that renewal is always possible. No matter how much life you have lived, there remains a capacity for freshness, for emotional risk, for seeing the world with new eyes. And transformative love is the force that activates this renewal. It unsettles the ego, softens defenses, and invites you into deeper awareness. So the true meaning behind such a message is not that something magical is descending upon you from the sky. It is that your own psyche may be preparing you for a new way of loving and being loved. The unfamiliar depth is not random. It reflects inner growth. When you approach it consciously, with reflection rather than illusion, love becomes more than an emotion. It becomes a path toward becoming more fully yourself.